There's no warranty. There are no guarantees with Yeti Rescues. They do guarantee at least a functional cooler, so you need to catch this when you first receive the cooler in the mail. Again, it's not like I wouldn't recommend Yeti Rescues. I'm just saying it's my last option if I'm wanting to get a really good discounted price on any kind of Yeti product. Don't embarrass yourself like I did. I gave this as a gift to my wife for Christmas, and then when she finally pulled it out for a house party, of the 6 coolers we had for this party, this was the only one that was leaking all over the floor. So you're a savvy purchaser like myself, and you got yourself a nice little discount going through Yeti Rescues, which is a sister company of Yeti, to where it's superficial damage on Yeti coolers that you can get anywhere from 15-20% off. Great deal. I am here from the future, coming back in time to just warn you a little bit. I think really it is a good deal, but here's something that you need to check the second you receive your hard-sided Yeti cooler from Yeti Rescues. Because the problem is there is no warranty on what you buy, but there's a little fine print caveat at the end that the cooler itself has to be functional. Don't make my mistake and skip this. We'll get into all that, but I'm telling you, the second that you receive your cooler from Yeti Coolers, you have to do this test to make sure that your cooler is functional. Don't embarrass yourself like I did. And Yeti Rescues, neither one of them could do anything about it. They just said, hey, you know, kind of tough luck. My fault, but I'm trying to let you guys know what to do. All right, so let's get into what exactly was the problem with our Yeti Tundra 65. And it is this drain plug here at the bottom. Now yours is gonna look different because mine has been fixed or repaired with that $15 kit. And we'll get into all that here in just a second. Let's just start where you and I are both going to be receiving our cooler, right? So ours came in a regular brown box. It wasn't really packaged, I would say super great, but these things are pretty tough. So when I got it out, it actually looked like it was a little scratched up, but I knew that going into the whole purchase because of Yeti Rescues, that these are either returns or issues with superficial issues, right, with their coolers. So what I did was opened up the thing, checked all of the gaskets, everything looked great. On the inside, it looked almost virtually brand new. Everything looked really good, smelled fine. Nothing to me that signified that there was going to be an issue other than maybe a few rough scratches. And that was that. I hid it over at our neighbor's house. Didn't think much of it until Christmas morning. Wife got it as her present, loved it, and we just didn't have a use for it until a few months later, to where we had a house party. She got all the coolers together, had about 6 coolers here in the kitchen, and just, you know, with sodas, waters, all that stuff, everything had a bunch of ice in it. And this was the only Yeti that we had. All the other coolers that we had were all like cheaper coolers. In the middle of the party, my wife comes up to me and says, hey, one of the coolers are leaking. Can you figure out what the deal is? Like, which one's leaking, and then let's get that out of the kitchen. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I know it's not the Yeti, right? It can't be, it's gotta be one of the cheaper coolers. Well, turned out, determined after looking through everything, it was the Yeti, and I didn't know that there was an issue with the drain plug until we had ice in here and we had liquid that is coming out of the drain plug. Problem is, and I'm going to show you here on the screen, when you undo your drain plug, and I'll show you a picture of how the original drain plug looked also, you need to unscrew that and take a look inside. And again, this is going to be different because this has been fixed. So you need to take your drain plug out, take a look at the threading and everything, and then put it back on. And then what I would recommend that you do is take it over to your sink, fill up some water with a pitcher, and you don't need a lot of water. What you want to do is pour it down here. And then if you can, raise up this end of the cooler so that all of the water is going towards your drain plug. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes and check to see if you have any leaks, if there's any kind of water coming out of this area. That's not something that we're going to catch when we're doing just a visual inspection. You receive the cooler, everything looks great. You're not thinking that this is gonna leak water down here at the drain plug. So the second that you receive your cooler from Yeti Rescues, do your visual inspection, and then you have to do this to see if this is leaking down here. So let's say you're in the same situation that I am, or your cooler for whatever reason is leaking down here at the drain plug. So there's two options that I had. One, we could seal it up completely for good, basically just take the cap as it is and then seal it up. That would stop the leaking, but it would also make it a little bit of a pain when you're draining your cooler out. You have to actually kind of tip the cooler to drain it out. Not a big deal, but when you have a $300, $350 cooler, you want everything to work correctly, right? So I didn't want to seal it up completely. So a couple of the boys I used to work with had an idea, and we got onto Amazon, and they make these $15 drain plug kits. I think they attach to like hoses and whatnot. You can put that in there, and as mangled as those threads were, this has sealed perfectly ever since we've done this route. Now, $15 worth of plastic on a drain plug, I don't know how long this is going to last, but my thing is, if it does fail, breaks, or cracks, I can just buy another $15 kit, or if we get to that point and it's just kind of frustrating to deal with, I will just seal it up. So you can get a great deal on Yeti Rescues, but my thing right now, looking back, if you're looking to get a great deal on a Yeti, if you go on Yeti Rescues, you're only taking off like 15-20%. I would just wait for big sales throughout the year to where they're trying to clear out certain colors. Like I think right now they're trying to clear out some king crab orange. There's another color that I saw out there for like $270, which is cheaper than buying it off of Yeti Rescues. I would do Yeti Rescues as a last resort and just buy a color that's maybe not super popular to get a really good discounted deal. The cooler itself is legit. It's a really good cooler. But the fact that something like this passed through the Yeti Rescues QC, nobody there caught that. And although I know that it was my fault ultimately that it went so long between the purchase and letting them know that there was an issue, I bought this on that Black Friday weekend of 2024. So it was hidden away for a month, month and a half. And then we just didn't have a need to use the cooler until like March of that year. So it was just a few months after Christmas that my wife was able to use the cooler to where we found out there was an issue. And it wasn't a superficial issue, it was a functional issue with the cooler, which is something that you can catch right at the beginning. There's no warranty, there are no guarantees with Yeti Rescues. They do guarantee at least a functional cooler, so you need to catch this when you first receive the cooler in the mail. If you've purchased from Yeti Rescues, let me know what your experience has been down in the comments below. Again, it's not like I wouldn't recommend Yeti Rescues. I'm just saying it's my last option if I'm wanting to get a really good discounted price on any kind of Yeti product. I would just look for the sales for colors that aren't very popular.